Hello.
Aloha.
How are you doing, Betsy?
I'm doing very well, Deb. Thank you. How are you today?
I'm doing well. So,
Excellent. And thanks for continuing our conversation. This is great.
My pleasure. It was such an enlightening conversation, especially after I watched it back a couple of times. And it was really helpful for me to understand how I get messages.
Cool. That's wonderful. And hi to folks in the chat. Shall we say hi to some folks?
Yes. Let me get them here. Okay. Viviani was first. Hi, Viviani. And Cardamancy Mesquite, Angela.
Hi, Angela.
And Nalani, Hypnicity.
Hi, Nalani.
And Jackie, Crystal Moon. Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Jackie. Where's Jackie? If it's evening in the UK?
Probably.
Yeah, because it's 8 a.m. my time.
And it's 1 p.m. my time.
Yeah.
T-Barb is here. Hi, T-Barb. I haven't seen you in a while.
I haven't met you before. Hi. Ireland. Oh, Jackie's in Ireland. Oh, the motherland. Oh. Jeez.
We all want to be there with you, Jackie.
Yeah. How many years my soul cried about Ireland. Until my guides one day said, wait a minute, you remember how many past lives you've had there? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you remember how many times you got killed there? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, why are you in such a hurry to go back? And I'm like, oh.
Yes, that sounds like a
killjoy.
Yes. A sound reason not to go.
Yeah, hi, Pia.
So we do get excited about Ireland.
So Hypnicity says it's 11 here. Is that AM?
Yes. Yes, okay. 11 a.m. She's in Washington State.
Oh, gosh. I hope you're okay.
Pia, have you changed your name?
Oh. Hey ho.
I believe so.
Cool.
Oh, thank you.
People always get so excited about Ireland. Isn't that the truth?
Angela's been to Ireland.
I always tell people if I went, it would be a one-way trip. I would just lay down there and refuse to get back on a plane.
Pia did change her name. And Plucky Heroine is here.
Oh, hey, Plucky. Hi. Still the best name, the best handle on the interwebs. Cool. And you guys, we'd like to begin with, if anyone has a question from episode 1, anything that came up, please type it in. We're more than happy to start with that because we're kind of winging it today, right, Deb?
Yes, yes. And so today we're going to continue the conversation from last time about channeling. And we're also going to talk about Betsy's book, her workbook. You Are Gifted.
It's a little thing. Don't think like this is something you're going to, yeah, it's just a little thing. It's actually what I give to students for my workshop.
And if you'd like to acquire that, the link, I popped it in the beginning of the chat, and it's also in the description below. So.
And it's really for an introduction to deepening your intuitive abilities. This is what it's about. And it's very simple foundation exercises because as we all know, it's a lot of fun to go tripping around out there in the cosmos. It's a lot of fun. But without a solid understanding of walking between the two worlds, not between, but walking both worlds, between 3-dimensional and spiritual, without firm foundation in that, it can be a little hard on the brain for me. What about you, Deb?
And it's a good practice to make sure that you're psychically safe, that you are in a good place, you're grounded and centered, and you are prepared for whatever may come.
Hi, Mary Thornberry. Hi. And I'm sure we've all seen and or known folks that we referred to as the airy fairy. And, that moniker came about for a reason. People that are very ungrounded, that are always tripping around,
Yes.
sometimes they don't seem that stable to me. Sometimes they just kind of like flibberty gibbets. They're almost like dragonflies just bouncing around in the air sometimes. So that's a real thing.
Yes, it is. And also, everything's not fluffy bunny. So people that are all love and light, and that's fine and good, but you need to be grounded in reality.
Yeah. That's been my experience, that I wasn't able to get very far with psychic abilities until I really understood the importance of grounding and centering and boundaries. Once I started putting those bits together, my abilities became stronger. And that it seems opposite of what we think of. Like, we go out there to do psychic work. So why do you need to be grounded more to Mother Earth? I'm not sure I completely understand all of it, but for me, I just know it's true that the stronger my connection and my love and appreciation for Mother Earth is, the stronger I become psychically.
Now, I have heard, and I don't know that it's a fact, but I feel like it is, that Mother Earth is an expression of Creator. So that once you ground and then you're also connected to Source, then that exchange of energy is better facilitated.
That's very well said, Deb. That's very well said.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Because I always, every time I do spiritual work, whether it's in person, over the phone, video, whatever, grounding, and so calling to Mother Earth to join me, and then Father Sky to join me. And in my prayer, I talk about how the Mother and the Father meet within in perfect balance harmony. So it kind of sounds like exactly what you're talking about.
And everyone may come to that space or understanding in their own time and in their own way. But the basic idea is that we are connected to the earth and we are connected to the cosmos.
Yes.
So once we connect that in our own heart space, that exchange of energy can happen through us instead of outside of us.
Yeah, very well said.
Nalani says, I see it as an electrical cord that connects everything together.
Yeah.
A lot of people have that imagery. Yes.
Yeah. Cool. All righty. I didn't see any questions come in, so
I didn't either.
So I guess we're just going to roll with it.
Okay. One question that I had is, it seemed like that connection that I had with Spirit the last time came very quickly. Do you find that it has to be worked for, or does it generally come in the blink of an eye?
It's how it works for me is the emotional investment the querent has.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's somebody who's really invested in, they have a question and they're seeking a response or something that makes sense in reply to that questioning, and they really, really, really want to understand that. That to me is the fastest bridge. If it's somebody who has a question, but they are either shut down emotionally, either completely shut down on their own, or if it's just in that situation, they're shutting down, they're putting a wall up because they're wanting some kind of a proof about the reader, or if they're a skeptic and they don't believe in any of it. If they're shut down emotionally, to me, I tell them all the time, it's like I'm sitting in a dark closet with the door shut. I'm uninvited, and the information may not be able to pass through me because it's not me doing this. This is information that comes from somewhere else, and it's just passing through me to you.
Right.
So if I am struggling to sense that emotional investment, then I struggle to make a connection.
So just because they are speaking a question or they've written one, as in the case of chatters, doesn't mean they're actually open to hearing anything.
Yeah, there can be a lot of layers about that, right? We were talking about that in backstage before we came on, that it's like manifesting. If let's take a look.
If I work for it, I go blank. So I have to divert my attention. It helps me the most to just start talking about other things.
Yeah.
So then it'll just come out.
Yep. Hey, whatever works. Writing, that's helpful to me. And we have all seen the charming young man on TV that has the paper and he's just scribbling. It, sometimes, and people that talk about meditating while they're driving, if there's a part of your brain that is occupied doing something and diverting attention, then it opens up a space for other things to come through. I totally believe in that.
Yeah.
Where were we? We were talking about manifesting. Okay, so yes. Thoughts become things, right?
Yes.
And then we call it spelling for a reason. So we were talking about the way not to go about manifesting is to say, hey, universe, I don't want to be poor anymore. I want money. The universe hears, okay, you're stating that you are poor and that you are comfortable having a want for money. So we will support that for you. You are poor, and yes, you have a wanting for money. So the same thing goes for the querent. If they're asking a question in such a way that they are embedding their underlying fear within the statement, then
that's what the universe hears.
Yeah, so that's what the universe hears. And there's sometimes when I've said, that's not your question. And people will be stunned. What do you mean that's not my question? That's not your question. You think about this. This isn't really what you're asking. This isn't what you want to know. What is it that you need to be honest about it? And sometimes people are just bashful. They're shy. They don't want to just spill their guts to a total stranger, or worse, tell their secrets, really, really private secrets, to someone that they know, that knows other people that they know. That's a really vulnerable space.
It is. And, well, I lost my thought. It's trusting the person, the reader, enough to ask a question, and then being willing to ask it in a way that will be answered for the most benefit, and not projecting to the universe the opposite of what we want. Not allowing fear-based things to enter your question or not allowing any negative thing that you're trying to overcome. Don't let that be the lead. You want to lead with what you want and lead with the positive outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And state it like it's already taken place.
So I put something in my workbook in chapter 6. And it says, sometimes people are genuinely frightened.
Yeah.
Usually, if you explain your process about what you do and why, and that can help people relax and release a little bit of fear to take a risk with a medium. And I say that's a pretty big leap in a short amount of time to walk in, announce their long-held beliefs, then toss them aside and trust to a stranger. It is humbling to witness this courage to go beyond what is known to find answers and comfort. And
I thought that was profound in your workbook. That
people, none of us walk out into the world to have our perceptions and belief systems turned upside down on a daily, right?
Right.
We go out there to reinforce our perceptions and beliefs. So when people are at a point where they really, really, truly need to go outside of the normal acceptable means to find answers to their questions, and so they go out on a limb and try this stuff, it is humbling to me to see people walk in one way and then all of a sudden you see them transform in the seat across from you and they walk out the door a different person sometimes.
Yes.
It's a really amazing process.
So that's not our goal, is to change someone's belief system. But if the information that they received facilitates that it is humbling, because that means that they were open-minded enough and able to assimilate the message so that they did walk out with a different perspective. Plucky Heroin.
Yeah, I thought there was some good stuff starting to come in.
Plucky Heroin said that part of the issue may be that may be due to the fact the querent may not have the vocabulary to express what they want to say. Intent is everything. Spirit can read the intent.
Absolutely. And can read your emotional investment in the outcome. Absolutely. You know, I have done in the past people that were having a really hard time verbalizing. I will just put my hands on the table and ask them to place their hands on top of mine. I don't do that on the regular because that can be a little bit draining, but for me, that'll work.
So, yeah, so you get a feeling for the energy.
And, you know, hypnicity, don't ask the question if you don't want to know the answer. I think the people that ask the question that does place them within a kind of a vulnerable space, like it's very private. It's something very much on their interior. It's very tender. I think that is showing bravery. And so I don't see it as, well, if you don't want to hear the truth, don't ask the question. I feel like the interchange is a little more divinely guided than that. And that, oh, hey, Jonathan. Hi, sweetie. Mwah. I feel like if they're asking a question and it's very tender spot, the guides will know how to word that for them. But also, if somebody's asking a question and they're not being authentic, the guides are going to bust them out on that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Deb, next question.
Well, let's talk about boundaries, because that's a big part of your workbook is setting up boundaries. And that's a thing that I need to do with my channeling, is to actually sit down and make a contract with my spirit guides as to how I want to approach channeling and receive the messages and deliver the messages. Uh, but just in general, we need to set up boundaries just to protect our spiritual health.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Remember, folks, this is a volunteer position. You can opt in and out at any time.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. If they're asking a question they already know the answer to and they're trying to test the reader, yeah, that happens. That comes up.
It does.
But the guides bust them out on that too. They just.
Well, I have a question that I use for readers, but it's not a question with a set answer. So for me, it's contacting my dad. I can tell whether or not somebody actually contacted my dad. So if I'm curious about this person, I have doubts about them, I will ask a sincere question, but it doesn't have a set answer. Some people will ask a question that they know the answer to, though, trying to test you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we all love that, right? That's why I flamed out in Sedona so fast.
P-Barb, did you see our last show about the initial questions we were asking, as if you had any follow-up questions to the show we did prior to this one?
Yeah, episode 1. But if you have any kind of question about channeling or mediumship, we can take a stab at it, but we're not doing readings today necessarily. Yeah, no worries.
Don't worry. It's not a requirement.
Oh, Jonathan, yay. Such a great question. Yeah, this was a really slow process for me. How about you, Deb?
I don't remember a time when I didn't trust my guides. So I've had an ongoing relationship with them since I was a child. But if I'm unsure about something, message that I've received, then I wait for validation, or I will ask for something that I don't know the answer to. For instance, when my power goes off, I always get my pendulum out and ask some variation of how long it's going to take for the power to come on. Usually it's within a couple of minutes. Whatever answer I get, it's within a couple of minutes. So it's possible to verify, validate the information that you get. And once you reach a point where you trust that information, then that's what I do. I've gotten to a point where I trust the information, and it may turn out to be wrong. Energy changes. People have free will, so it may turn out to have a different answer, but that doesn't change my trust in my source.
Yeah. And Deb and I were talking about this a little bit behind backstage, Jonathan. So for me, the process that led me to really trusting my intuition was a lot of journaling for years. In the late 80s, or no, I'm sorry, in the 90s, when Conversations with God came out and was such a huge thing. And it was channeled messages. And my mom had a lot of success with automatic writing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had done enough psychic development classes that automatic writing was brought up from time to time. So I leaned into that, and I had a lot of great success with that. I didn't have the confidence to wing it verbally for a very, very long time because I am not a trance channel. I have awareness. Words come through, and I wanted to, again, and like Deb and I had talked about it just a few minutes ago, I wanted to trust the information coming through me. So I would pause. How do I know if it's channeled and not my imagination? I will pause and I will question. Is that really what you mean? Is this really the way you want me to say this? And also just to sometimes take it 100% as is. Squirrel Nutkin, my famous line, Squirrel Nutkin to a group of strangers. Who have you identified resonates with Squirrel Nutkin? You know, they'll make you say weird stuff sometimes just to test your trust and to just go out on a limb and see what's going to happen with it.
Right. So, in my case, I've had some profound knowings or even some clairvoyance where I saw something that within a few hours I got validation that it had happened. So I have built up a trust with my spirit guides so that I don't always agree with them. Just because they give me advice doesn't mean that I want to run out and do what they say. But that's okay because I have free will. Now, are they right? Probably. But I may want to take a different road there. So that's perfectly fine too.
For me, I find there's a difference in trusting my intuition for myself and when I'm doing readings,
Yeah.
whether it's group reading or whether it's a one-on-one. There's a difference in that because when I am reading for other people, I have an investment as a human being that the people that come to me find value in what transpires. So I have that investment. What I can't do is judge the message because I claim it's information from beings much wiser than myself. And if that is my claim, then I need to believe that the words that come through are that as well.
Yes. And that's for me too. It's different when I'm doing readings. I don't want to give wrong advice. I don't want to give something that is not. I don't want to give something that's mine because that's not what a person who asks a question is interested in. They're interested in what advice is coming from the other realm, or not advice, maybe validation or some other thing that they're asking for, not for me to give my own. So in those cases, I want to definitely make sure that it's not.
And there's also a layer of judgment about it. If something comes to you and your humanness says, oh, that's silly, that's really stupid, I can't say that, you don't know how it's going to be received.
Exactly.
It's a judgment there that, oh, this is stupid, this is silly, I'm embarrassed to say that. That's a judgment, and you are possibly taking away something meaningful for the recipient of that message. So, I mean, there's times I've said stuff and I was really hesitant to say it, and it was really important to have been heard. You can't know. You can't know.
You can't. So I'm really, if I'm reading cards, then the cards that I got, I need to say that. I need to say whatever the card said. And if there's a card and I forget the meaning, because I know the meanings of the cards, but if I forget the meaning of the card in the moment, then I'm not supposed to say that. I'm supposed to say whatever I'm understanding from the picture on the card, from the illustration.
Yeah.
So it's the message is the message, and it's my job to deliver it. I can make it tactful, but it has to be that message.
Right.
Because it's not for me. It's for someone else. And it may have great meaning to them.
Absolutely. I want to touch on T-Barb's thing about the cat balls.
Yeah.
I have gone out with people that had the bells and whistles and toys and deals, and it's just not my thing. You know, I don't need to put something out to see if there's a spirit around. Don't need it. Don't need the thing to tell. I know they're there. And yeah, and after you stop paying attention, that's when they come out. Because yeah, I mean, yeah. What I do like, there's a thing called the Ovulus 2, and it will put words on the screen. That one I like because I'm all about the words, right? So, yeah.
Yeah.
How would you explain that? I mean, well, I mean, who are you dealing with? Okay, so here's the deal. Who did you invite? Anybody here? Well, that's limitless, right? From the very
just someone passing by and saw you and you were shiny, and
from the very best and the brightest to the most horrific being ever invented. That's an open invitation. They went off after you stopped paying attention. How would you explain that? Well, I'm going to say that you invited somebody with a trashy sense of humor, like, yeah. Watch this. That's how I explain that. Yeah.
So.
Now they regularly activate. Well, great. They've moved in with you. I hope you like them. You have a new boyfriend or girlfriend. There you go.
Pia's Eclectic Life
Yeah.
has asked, do you hear audible voices or is it an inner knowing? I've had several occurrences of an inner knowing.
That's mostly for me. And it can, yeah, it's mostly like there's a conversation going on inside my head. It's not like there's somebody talking into my ear.
Right.
Yeah. Is that you too, Deb?
Yes, that's me too. And I also get just a knowing. So it could be either or both.
Oh yeah. It can be a lot of things. Yeah. Yes. The ghosts at my workplace, the resort I work in is on old kind of sacred ground. So there's a heck of a lot of entities. There's even a very well-known woman who shows herself from the waist up and likes to freak out the tourists that are on their morning power walk. She'll walk by them and then they'll turn around and there's nobody there and they're freaked out already because there was only half of her to start with. Right. And all the security guards like, nah, brah, no worries. So they're all banished from many sorts of trickery because my boss doesn't like trickery. She gets a little upset about the trickery. Including ghost farts. They were walking in front of you and letting a pooter go, and it was unmistakable. And I banished them from that. So a couple days ago, they gave me Absorbing Junior to smell, and I'm fine with that.
Was this something you always felt, Betsy, or was it something you've worked on over time?
Yeah, both. I mean, I always knew my room was full of things, living things I couldn't see. I always knew it. You know, when you're kids, nightmares, all that, monsters under the bed, everybody blows it off, but it never went away for me.
Yeah, so it didn't for me either. And
Yeah. So
Now I'm not afraid of it now, but as a child I was.
oh, terrified. I was afraid of the dark till I was 35. I had to invent a horse, a spirit horse that ran in circles around me in the dark, kicking all the stuff away from me. That was the only, and I'm still not that great in all manners of dark.
I'm okay with the dark now, but there was a time when I was quite terrified.
Yeah.
Jonathan says, for me, it's hearing myself saying something that I know is not speaking. It often happens when I'm not paying attention and someone asks a question to the room, the answer will pop out of that does. And then he says it's more channeling than mediumship.
So
Yeah.
here's the deal. I think channeling and mediumship is actually the same thing. I think we divide it up to have an just to make it easy to understand. Channeling is talking to spirit guides. Mediumship is talking to loved ones and friends, and those we're familiar with. That's I make that distinction because it can be so confusing, and I think this is an easy way for laymen to understand what's happening here. But I think it's really the same thing.
It's being a conduit for the message.
Yeah. And Jonathan, I do love that too, because there are times when a question is posed and you go, like, I have no idea what that is. And then words just come out of your mouth and you're like, wow, that sounded good. Where did that come from? Somebody asked on a live, what's the difference between destiny, fate, and free will? And Betsy said, oh boy. And the guide said, destiny is your soul's intention and purpose for this lifetime. Fate is the situations that come up to meet the criteria of the lessons your soul requires, and free will is your human being's ability to choose which path to take. And I was like, wow, I'm going to try and remember that.
That's stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, they're beings infinitely more wise than I will ever be. I feel lucky just to be able to help them from time to time.
It's an exchange. It's an energy exchange. Monkey is determined to be in this shot.
He's in the shot. Yes, he will be our official guide.
Yes, he's trying.
Oh, okay, Monkey. He says he wants to make sure whatever those things are that touch the balls don't come into your house.
He takes his job very seriously.
Yeah. So tarot your way. I still sleep with the lights on. Word. Not bright lights, but I have ambient lighting that my space is not pitch dark. You know, I'm kind of envious of people that can see full body apparitions in the daylight. You know, I might be relatively okay with that, but I sure don't want to see something in pitch black. Oy.
I tend to I can do both, but it has to be someone that slips through my spirit guides because they don't like it. They do not want me. They do not want these different beings coming in and
Yep.
yeah, they don't like it. So
It's like a jealous lover. Nope, not messing around with my plaything.
right. And it does occasionally happen that I will see someone, but it's usually because they are someplace they're not supposed to be.
Yes, and a lot of my friends here that know the way I am, they have been asking me, and a lot of people that I'm close with have been asking me lately, these past 2 weeks, how I'm doing. Yes, Jonathan, we're overdue. Jonathan, we need to track down Laura and find out what's going on at Hallowed Home, because I've messaged her a couple of times and she hasn't answered, and her house might have been in the path of the fire in Kula. and I couldn't find them on Instagram with any recent posts. So let's put our heads together and figure that out. Maybe it includes a field trip to Wailuku this week. I'm not sure. Anyways, sorry. Back to the focus. What the heck was I talking about now? Shoot, I digress. Oh, people reaching out to find out how I am. Well, I have like this guide who's a gatekeeper, and he has put me on lockdown on Maui. There's so much going on in the atmosphere. There's a lot of souls that haven't figured out what the hell happened yet. And so it's more confusion that I can sense than sorrow and wailing. I mean, it's very different from the Titanic. When I tap into the Titanic, it used to really fry me because it was just nothing but the screaming and the wailing. Screaming and wailing. And so the atmosphere here now is not that. It's confusion. But my team's got me on lockdown. I don't know what's going on with that. I have an idea that I want to start some guided meditation groups for complimentary for the folks around here that want to hold space, guided by Mintakan beings. That's what I want to do. So it'll come in its own time. But I think until then, I'm just supposed to be kind of keeping out of it for now.
Jonathan says Laura is fine. She's been volunteering so much that she's
neglected everything else. Okay, cool. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for letting me know. Because
I don't have my glasses on.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's cool because I want to start doing that meditation circle at her place too. You know, she and I have been trying to get the right situation to start doing some group things at her store, and I think it's a great place to offer a meditation.
Yes. So I understand your guide's putting you on lockdown because mine did the same thing a number of months ago. Every time I tried to go out to do anything, to get in my car and leave, something prevented it. Or if I did actually leave, then they sabotaged my car for like a couple of days, and I had to have it towed home. I had to go home and have it towed and all of that. And then have someone come in and fix it. So they had me on lockdown, and I was complaining to them about being stranded someplace and my car not working. And the message I got was, well, did you die? No. Then go home and be quiet. And for about 2 weeks, I didn't leave my apartment. And whatever was the danger of me leaving passed, and then it was safe for me to go out again. So
yeah, there's that too, right? There's that too. So the physical and the spiritual as well. Stuck in a holding pattern, haven't picked up any decks. I think it's a good thing because, like I said, what I'm sensing right now is confusion, and there's not a whole lot to be done to help people in a state of confusion.
Right.
Wasting all your energy and efforts on calming people enough to where they are no longer in confusion, then you're exhausted about the time they start figuring out the questions.
Yes.
So, a few nights ago they did a little something about putting an ice dome over Lahaina and letting the ice cold water drip in to cool the fire. And then there was a little portal open to let a few souls out that wanted to get out before they felt like they had done everything they needed to participate in. And some pets too, a lot of pets they let out through the portal. And man, that's about it.
So, for now, it's a matter of waiting and letting the shock and the chaos.
Literally letting the dust settle. Yes, literally. And yeah, sometimes it really is that simple. Did you die?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, like if I'm driving and they say, "Oh, turn right and go that way." And I'm like, "Oh, why take the convoluted way?" And they're like, "Turn right." Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just do it.
And I know that if I hit every light between where I am and where I'm going, they're slowing me down for a reason. So
Yes.
there's no reason to be impatient because it's just not going to help.
Okay, Deb, I'm being redirected back to your original question about boundaries, and I'm being told that we haven't fully addressed that. So,
Okay.
so what is your question or concern?
I want to allow the message to come in unfiltered, but also I would like to be aware enough that I can come out and answer a question or know what's going on in my space without interrupting the message. So I guess the boundaries that I want to set are with my spirit guides. They already have helped me to set boundaries around my space, but the boundaries I need to address are with them to for making the most effective channeling without filtering the message.
And I got it. They told me your solution right straight away is think of this like you're taking up archery or bowling, and it's going to take practice. And once you learn the technique and begin to practice, and you start getting comfortable with any kind of level of proficiency, then what happens, what takes over, and they say it's the same as driving, what takes over is muscle memory. And once you have that in place, to where there's not an effort involved, there's not a searching to establish your connection, your proper stream or path of connection. Once that memory, and I guess it's probably more like the nervous system or the energy system, once that memory is built up through repetition in you, you will be able to come back to it relatively effortlessly. So, so it comes, and where the trust part comes into play is that you're trusting that the words that come to you will be from your preferred spiritual team. And that's where your language in making a contract with them is to be specific about the guides you're willing to talk to. And at this time, you can make it really simple. Say, I am willing to talk to Michael, Metatron, Maitreya, Bridget, Freya. You can name specific names, because the beauty of that is, aloha. The beauty of that is that these individuals are actually made up of a collective, but that vibrates at the same energy, space, and holds a similar intention of service. So Archangel Michael, protector, right? The imagery is often of him dressed as with of course the beautiful wings, and he's always handsome, but he has oftentimes he has on some type of battle attire and a sword. So the focus of intention on this is of protection and courage and bravery, and walking into the situation with courage. This is a collective energy of beings that share that mission with him. I may be repeating all this, but this is when they lean on me, sometimes it gets repeated. So if you are very, very clear about the type of beings you are comfortable in communicating with right now, you have no doubt that you would receive any message from Freya and deliver it as is 100% without question, then be specific about that. Practice, build up that strength. And they're saying it's like neuro-linguistic programming, where you're trying to train your brain to go into new directions instead of shooting to a coping mechanism from a past trauma. This is kind of the same thing. You're training your energy and nervous system and making new pathways. And once those get established, then your connecting will be really effortless. And wrong direction. You will be able to go in and out with them like on a moment to moment basis, like in the middle of the aisle of the grocery store, like, why is somebody putting bacon in my cart? You know, they'll be right there and respond with you, even on silly, mundane things. And you'll be able to go in and out really quick, really effortlessly. Yeah, let me know if there's something else came up.
In the chat.
Or with you, anybody. Yeah, anybody.
I'm starting to get that now, where I can go back and forth with the conversation. It's not always there, but sometimes it's there. And I can have the conversation without having to stop and, do what I do to like get ready for a show. I don't have to necessarily do that, because really they always are with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a matter of making yourself receptive.
Mm-hmm. So I think the hesitation, from what they're telling me, the hesitation within you right now about boundaries will be something that'll be alleviated just with practice. And they're saying to just go ahead and throw up some channeled messages chats where you don't have cards anywhere around you. You have no other tools around you that, and just let it be as it is. You know, if you get 2 readings in an episode, that's what it is. That's the messages for the day, and that's who is meant to get it. To not have an expectation of productivity.
That makes sense.
Yeah, the human part of us is where the investment is in that, and I think where the investment lies in that. Oh, sorry. I think part of our human worries about our ego stepping in and answering questions and things could, for me, it was about if somebody that I wasn't connecting with and I felt stumped, that I was afraid my ego would want to come in and fill that space with words to lessen discomfort.
Yeah.
And that was a process for me that I overcame with practice, to where, if somebody's really shut down and there's really nothing coming through, that I can say, I am sorry, I am uninvited. And that has to be okay.
Or that the message has ended.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's the impulse to keep talking when there's nothing left to say.
And now, who is this floof? Remind me who this
is. Willie.
Willie. Hi, Willie.
I call him Willie Bug. He came to me about a year ago, and he is
goodness gracious.
He has one eye. So he's a little bit of a special needs kitty, but he thinks he can see, so.
Yeah. So what other questions do you have? Well, because we've been on for about an hour. I have time, but I don't want the reasons we came here to get overshadowed with me chattering like a magpie.
You're not. And I think that's most of my questions. I did also want to highlight your workbook a little bit more, because if you are just starting out or you've just discovered He does see differently, hypnicity. He's got very limited physical vision, but he sees things I can't see. If you are just starting out and you need a direction or you're not sure of what to do, Betsy's workbook is excellent for setting out all the basics of grounding and centering and setting boundaries and what
self-care and
yeah.
psychic hygiene, really.
Yes.
It's just some really simple steps to keep you stable and sane while you're developing this new esoteric practice. That's really what it is. I think everybody in the chat today is pretty well, pretty far down the road, but this was something that if I had received it when I was younger, it would have probably been comforting to me, or support. I would have felt supported instead of like I was floundering, because I had no indigenous leaders or elders to teach me. It was all just floundering around in the Caucasian suburbs with people who didn't really didn't know a whole heck of a lot more than I did. Yeah.
So Jonathan has a fully blind cat.
Magical Mal, who disappeared and was resurrected months later. Yeah.
So, but I really appreciated the workbook because it also helped me to see that even though I have developed my own way of doing each one of these things, or my own routine, ritual, it shows that we really are kind of coming to the same space. That
yeah.
The act of doing, practicing and centering and grounding and all of those things that we maybe take for granted after we've been doing it for a while, it really is a basic thing that all of us should be doing to for our own psychic health.
And this just kind of validates, it's like tarot tube. I think we all find this so rewarding because there are people that are saying what we're saying, and
yes,
maybe doing things a little bit differently, but for the same reasons and the same hopes and purposes. And it's strength is built through community sometimes. Yeah. So just to see it somewhere, it's like when you pick up a book and it just resonates because it's things that are so familiar to you, or you shared experiences, something. This is just kind of the same way, shared experiences. You're not in it alone. It validates.
yes.
And it helps build confidence because that validation and that there's others on this same kind of path. It really helps build confidence, because face it, this is the most courageous thing any of us are ever going to do. The inner journey is only for the very courageous.
And it helps you realize that it's not your imagination, that it's a real thing.
Plucky heroine. When the student is ready, the YouTube will come. That's really funny. Well done. Well done. Applause. Applause. Yeah. So boundaries again today, what I would say, Deb, for you is okay, not what I would say. What my spiritual team wants to convey is to go ahead, set up your boundary space, and do some lives. And hopefully for some total strangers that'll come in. So, for some total strangers, people you have no idea who they are, which is great, because then you have no investment, right? And you also can't read into anything.
I've also been thinking about what another one of your suggestions from last time about finding some place where I can do some live readings face to face. And I do think that I need to do some teaching too.
Yeah, they were talking about that.
So that's all on the horizon. Hopefully going to do one thing at a time, but knowing my guides, it'll probably be all at once.
Yeah, like you're a medical resident.
Yes. It is kind of like that.
Yeah. You get your decision-making powers set in place quick. Yeah. So, what else is there today? Does anybody at all have a question?
Yes.
I feel like there's a question floating out there that somebody has a question. It may be a personal question, but there's one question that's important for my guides if somebody wants to ask it. I don't see anything coming in, so
I don't either.
that's cool. That's cool too.
Hi, Miss Taro D. Miss Taro.
Oh, hi. How are you today?
Let me find Miss there. It is.
Yeah.
So, well, oh, you're not late. You're just on time.
Just on time. Yeah. Just so we can say hi to you.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Thank you, Mary. Thanks for being here. Yeah, I know there's somebody in there that had a question, and maybe it's just not for public, but if you want to reach out, you know where to find me.
Yes. So all of the information is below this video. And I guess then.
I know Angela said, is it for me? Well, somebody's got to type. It's got to be a question you can type in. They're not telling me what it is. So the question needs to be presented. Yeah. But it just may be that it's rather personal and it's not the appropriate platform for it. But whatever. You guys know where to find me. So
yes. So yeah. We've been here for an hour, and I want to thank everyone for coming and spending this time with us and joining in on the conversation.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
I'm going to watch both parts again. So thank you. And if I wanted to say to Betsy, anytime that you would like to come back and continue this conversation or talk about something else, you are certainly welcome to come.
Well, let's do some live readings.
So that would be wonderful. So we'll do that next time.
Do that next time. I think that's great. Yeah. And Jonathan, yes. You tell me when your schedule works out.
So, wonderful. So, yes.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
A hui ho.
Until next time.